I don't believe it. It's not possible. Stop. Let me out! Let me out!
I must have had a lapse in awareness or something because I never realized that the Animatrix short films technically and contextually belong to the same universe as the live-action Matrix films. It's actually canon, and beyond that it shows the origins of how and why the Matrix was created in the first place. The back of the DVD box reads, "From the creators of the Matrix Trilogy," soon to be subjected to the confusing mix of Latin and Greek that is a quadrilogy, and grasp a more complete understanding of the Matrix. Like nowhere else. 9 short films forming a visionary of CG animation and Japanese anime.
It's like one of my Japanese animes.
The prequel story, The Second Renaissance, Part 1 and 2, goes over how countless years of machine evolution and being mean to boss and dynamic robots leads to a retaliation of power between man and machine. The humans, they tried blocking out the sun as to strip away the robots' primary energy source, but that only escalated things into war, and ultimately the machines won. No surprise. And now as a new form of energy, they use the humans. It's described as using the bioelectric, thermal, and kinetic energies of the human body, characterized as a kind of symbiotic relationship between humans and machines. And supposedly, the original premise of the Matrix was to have human brains act as a large-scale neural network for advanced computing power, but that would have been too confusing for the audience, so they changed it to a Duracell advert.
In order to change a human being into this.
The humans were obviously meant to be more than just a primitive power source. Why else would the machines have constructed an alternative reality for people to live out in blissful ignorance? It's almost compassionate in a way to show such humility. So each human is subdued in this comatose or dreamlike state, while they live out their false reality in the Matrix, a fabrication of existence itself, a computer simulation made by the machines for the people. How nice of them, right? So Neo is just one of many that was trapped inside the Matrix, but there's nothing really stopping the narrative from exploring other people's experiences and attempted escapes from the Matrix. The very nature of the Matrix allows for potentially endless stories to be told in the perspective of others inside of the simulation. The possibilities are virtually endless, right? And that's basically what the Animatrix shorts are. A contrasting perspective look of those inside the Matrix. The Matrix, as confusing as it may sound, has a kind of universal universe. And a comparison to a dreamlike state makes a lot of sense here. The sort of seeming reality the unconscious mind can create while dreaming, can be almost equal to the experiences of actuality while simultaneously not actually happening at all, right? It's almost like we visit a sort of matrix in our dreams, constructed by our minds instead of the machines. And there are some people who, oddly enough, claim that they don't dream at all, or at the very least have very little recollection of them. And explaining to them, dreams or lucid dreams that would be nearly impossible, right? Like, sometimes when you go to sleep, you visit strange new places and see people and do things within yourself while asleep. And that would sound like the pinnacle of lunacy to them. You can't really prove or disprove it happens. You just really need to have shared similar experiences to have the words be even remotely communicative. So a lucid dream is just a normal dream but with a heightened level of awareness and control. The Matrix is the same, but only the exceptional ones can bend it to their will. It explains all the extravagant things that happen in the Matrix universe, and while mixing in live action, anime, and CGI, it's all fair game in the Matrix. Why not? Like, Kill Bill did it with one of its animated flashback scenes, and that too was done by, I think, the same anime director. And it's immediately recognizable when you watch something like the Kill Bill short or the One Linkin Park music video and compare it to the shorts from Genius Party or the Animatrix shorts. You really start to see, familiar directors and animators. And I just really wanted a reason to gush over the visuals of some of these shorts on the Animatrix. I remember the feeling I had as a child while watching it for the first time, and the presentation seemed so believable to me, but I didn't know the reasons why. The Matrix story might have gone over my head at the time, but the visuals were all the storytelling I needed to feel the weight of the scenes. There's one short called Beyond. That's probably my favorite. It captured the playful nature of the Matrix so well, you could live vicariously through it. It was also the most colorful and serene one. It felt like Gravity Rush, the anime. It told the story of kids discovering the location where the laws of reality were out of whack. and it shows their gradual exploration of this strange place and what they can get away with. And as a kid, it felt like a place like this really could exist, and you were exploring this strange place with these characters themselves. The Oracle at some point even explains that oddities and abnormalities in the Matrix is the system assimilating some program that's doing something they're not supposed to be doing, partly to study the nature of mankind in a closed, controlled environment. And that's exactly what Beyond felt like, a moment cherished in abnormality. The Animatrix template for short films is a perfect excuse to use all kinds of experimental shit. Like, Beyond had everything. There was like aperture exposure adjustments, realistic camera sways, smooth motion tracking. There's like a clear depth of field and bloom effects, a parallax effect from the background and foreground, and a really well rendered high-speed shot, like a slow motion shot. It had it all, and in the span of like a few seconds, with hardly any spoken dialogue. It really was quite something that I've never seen done in an anime before. It's like if someone is emotionally intelligent, they don't need a person to explicitly say anything really to understand how they feel. The scenes are enough on their own. It's almost like a compliment, right, to the audience, allowing them to discover how the atmosphere is read. It felt real, but so clearly not, as the Matrix should, going beautifully with this premise of becoming freed.
Free your mind.
Yeah, go watch the Beyond short. It's very visually sensual. You might even get nostalgic watching it, even if it's the first time seeing it. The message of being freed is reoccurring in the other shorts as well. The World Record short was especially cool since the main character was momentarily able to free himself from the Matrix with sheer willpower alone, and not from the help of anyone else. And that too had an impressive scene where time slowed down during a race while being pursued by agents. It was very well done. It felt almost suffocating, like you were running away from something in a nightmare. They really nailed the sense of momentum in that one. Also, the kid's story, that one, the main character specifically calls out for help from Neo and the crew, and by the end he escapes the Matrix, later again reappearing in the live-action Matrix Reloaded and Revolution films, even thanking Neo after the fact. It's all very well done, and seeing the connections between the Animatrix and the Matrix and how their stories tie in together as canon. It makes you wonder what other universes in media could have this same kind of potentially strange intertwined relationship between adaptations, a form of narrative foreshadowing working in reverse, premonitions of past events, and there's a possibility for any media, in adaptations and remakes and reboots, or even rebuilds, with time shifts or different delineations of reality to be in the same universe.